Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome back to another Planet Zoo real life inspiration video, and today we are looking at the orangutan and we've got some adorable footage over here right away, but we should get started because my god there are a lot to look at and a lot of stuff to look at, so this will be a long one. So let's get started right away with Apenheul, which is the monkey zoo, and of course the monkey zoo also has an orangutan area as is signed over here. It's really hyping you up. You are about to see the orangutans. We can see there's multiple viewpoints, multiple levels of viewpoints, and these fantastic striking climbing frames over here. I really love in general how creative zoos are getting with the climbing frames of the orangutan. We'll see that as we continue through this video, but yeah, we can see multiple islands, multiple of these really cool kind of explosions of logs, almost really awesome educational sign over here about the difference between the two species of orangutan. Also over there you've got like one of those things where you can do the little enrichment thing that the orangutans are also doing. Then as we are walking up to the backstage, we also get another peek. We can see that's the viewing point we were just at with the little enrichment thing, and here you can see the islands a bit more up close. We can also see the big male orangutan over there. Really awesome. I always love seeing them. It's never not amazing to see the big boys. But yeah, over here we have a fantastic kind of this really intricate modern building with all these curves and things, and it's really cool. It's got these 4 corners which each have a little indoor area. At the start of the day, the orangutans get to choose which orangutans they want to be with that day. Basically, I feel like they open everything up and they kind of just move into their little groups, and then they will close things off again. So the orangutans can kind of choose for themselves who they want to spend the day with, and yeah, it allows for all those social dynamics to be all nice. So yeah, it's important to have the option to open up the habitats to each other, of course, but also the option to separate animals. So yeah, here we are at the outside of the building, and then on this side there's even more islands. I don't know what these brown like these big sheets of metal are that are hanging in there. Maybe it's like shade, maybe it's something to climb, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, just more islands, more climbing, again multiple levels of viewing area. Over here we're getting a little close to the ground. There's a little food area as well with this awesome roof structure, peeking into this corner over here into the habitat, where you get some really awesome views right there. Yeah, just a really cool habitat in general. We can also see this metal structure in the back there, that is actually connecting up to a different habitat, the habitat of the Eastern Javan langur, and they're able to connect that metal structure to this island, to this climbing structure, to let the langurs onto the orangutan island, which is really cool. So here you've got the langurs over there in the back. But that's it for Apenheul. Let's move on to the next zoo over here, which is probably the worst one in this video. This is Zoo Duisburg. So let's get that out of the way with, I suppose. Yeah, this is the indoor area. There is a bit more space behind this wall, but yeah, this is what they've got. Not a lot of height. There is quite a bit of climbing in there, but in general just not that much space. And as we go outside, we also saw this in the Pygmy Hippo video because it's like right there. But yeah, this is the outdoor habitat. When I was here, I will say, there was construction happening behind those fences, so for all I know this area has been touched up a bit. Maybe this is not the full situation anymore. I feel like they were planning some kind of expansion, but yeah, when I was here this was what there was. I would love to go back to see if they've improved it, because yeah, this was not very great. So let's move on to Cologne, which is a little better. It's still not amazing in general. Just I feel like I talked about this in the bonobo video as well. In general, when I was in Germany, I was not too impressed with most of the primate habitats. I feel like a lot of these zoos could benefit from getting rid of one of their primates and giving another one more space. But yeah, here we've got some pretty interesting viewing areas into this pretty cool mesh structure with all these kind of rings holding everything together. And the sun is not making it very clear to see. But yeah, I also don't know what these planted pots are about. They're kind of blocking the view. I don't know if it's supposed to give the orangutans more privacy or something. I really don't know. We also have some lion-tailed macaques over here. They've got a little indoor area. The reason I'm showing this is because they are actually also connected to the orangutan enclosure, so they can be mixed. And over here the plants were just really in the way. I really don't know what that was about. Maybe some kind of experiment. Really quite strange. But yeah, orangutans can be mixed with other monkeys quite well. I see it in a lot of zoos, and will see it in a lot of zoos in this video. We already saw the langurs, now we have the lion-tailed macaque, and we'll see many more species to come. But yeah, over here we're in the indoor area, which I will say is quite nice. Definitely a lot more interesting than the one we saw at Duisburg. There's also multiple rooms to it, I'm pretty sure. On the other side over here is more. And we can also see this glass tunnel going over the visitor path, bringing the orangutans into their outdoor enclosure. I think that is super cool. I really wish I could experience seeing one walking through there. But yeah, next up we have the Allwetterzoo Münster, and we also have a orangutan area. And actually, it's the sign says like zoo rangers, and then in zoo ranger the oran is like extra bold, which I think is a really nice touch. It's simple but cool. And then we've got this beautiful enclosure. It's not the most spacious one. It could do with a bit more space in my opinion, but it looks really cool, I will say that. And this jungly path through here with all of this stuff, this bridge over here, yeah, I really enjoyed the vibe of this enclosure. This is also a mixed enclosure, but then with the Asian small-clawed otter, they can be walking around the enclosure, swimming around those bits of water, which is really quite cool. There's also this amazing viewpoint with this glass. We can see the enrichment puzzle box thing over there. You see that in pretty much every zoo. Yeah, orangutans definitely, from all the primates I have seen, I've seen them interact the most with enrichment. I feel like they're definitely on a whole other level of needing to be enriched, because you'll often see things like blankets, boxes, all sorts of stuff to keep them busy. But yeah, we are walking all the way around this enclosure. You can see there is quite a bit of climbing, and it is a very open enclosure, which is also interesting. Like, just steep walls and hot wire is all that's keeping them contained, so that is also an option, as opposed to just mesh or moats and stuff like that. You can do these really cool faux rock enclosures, which is also very nice. It's awesome to know that that is something that is realistic enough to do, because it does look very great. So we just saw the orangutan walk by with something like a bottle in their mouth. They are heading towards the indoor area, so why don't we do the same? Over here we see a little bit of a backstage peek. Nothing too interesting. So yeah, let's head into the indoor area of the Bornean orangutan here at Münster. Sorry, I keep mixing up Dortmund and Münster, but they're actually quite different. So yeah, we've got a nice tropical indoor area with lots of plants. Central tree trunk with a staircase in there leading us up, and over here is the indoor area for the orangutan. So a lot of space of this building is given to the visitors. I feel like that could be a little bit more for the orangutans, less for the visitors. I don't know how crowded it gets here, like when it's in high season. I feel like I was here either off season, or I was definitely here off season, but maybe I was even here on a weekday, I don't quite remember, so it wasn't too crowded. But yeah, you can take the tree trunk up and get a really nice top-down view. You can see some of the otters lying around, and the orangutans over there in their climbing frames. I love all the plants and things around. Really cool. Next up we have Zoo Osnabrück, and over here we're in this area that is all this like temple theming, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit straight, like it's all very square or rectangular, but overall it is a nice theming. It's very consistent throughout this entire area, both for the orangutan exhibit over here, as well as a tiger exhibit, and there's another monkey exhibit that's also in this temple theming. So it is quite cool that they've got that whole area right there. Indoor area is also quite nice, with the temple stuff, some plants, planters, benches, lots of stuff to sit around, lots of different rooms for the orangutan here, for them to be separated around. Also, not just the orangutan, but also the gibbon, because this is another mixed enclosure with another type of monkey, in this case the gibbon. So yeah, many types of monkeys can be mixed with the orangutan, like I already said. Yeah, benches, cages, there's some terrariums over here, which is also quite nice. And then we've got even more backstage holding for the orangutan. Really quite cool. But yeah, as we head back out, we see some of the outdoor yards. So these are very much mesh enclosures. And what's interesting about this one is I read a book about zoo design, and it's like, where are you going to put the glass? Are you going to put it on the ground where the people are, or are you going to put the glass up where the arboreal animals are most likely going to be? So in this case, the zoo chose to put the glass down and the mesh up, which means that if they're climbing around up there, you're actually not really going to see them that well, which is interesting to see that effect in practice. But yeah, we could see them climbing around the back with another orangutan on the side, because next to it is another outdoor enclosure over here. This one's a little bit larger, I'm pretty sure, with a bunch more interesting viewpoints. We can also see a path leading to the backstage, that's for the keepers. A staircase leading us up to get a slightly more elevated view, but nothing too spectacular. But yeah, we can see the orangutan sitting around up there. I'm pretty sure this one's also for the gibbon. It is also connected to a third, yeah, I wouldn't call this part of the exhibit really. It feels like half indoor area, half outdoor area. There is mesh in the ceiling, but I think there is also glass. So I guess this is mostly indoor. But yeah, in here we can see one of the gibbons kind of sitting at the top middle center bit. See penny press. Yeah, this is the temple structure from the outside, looking pretty cool from this angle, I will say. Next up we have Ouwehands Dierenpark, and this is the only zoo that I know of that I've seen that actually has these overpass things. I've seen people create these in Planet Zoo, and it's always been just the coolest thing to imagine. And yeah, it was absolutely awesome to see an orangutan actually making use of that and have it climbing over my own head, even though it's very high up, of course, to really disincentivize them to drop down. Yeah, this is a thing you can do, and it's super awesome. We also got a small outdoor yard, could be bigger. I feel like I've read that they had plans to make it bigger, but can't confirm that really. The zoo is doing a lot of construction work at the moment. But yeah, really awesome. I mean, the outdoor habitat is small, but they've got a lot of climbing space, of course, because of those overpasses. So as we go into the indoor building, this is very similar to a lot of the stuff we've seen already. Just a lot of these fire hoses, platforms, yeah, lots of climbing stuff. Also meshed over to prevent them from probably throwing stuff outside of the, like I say, you have a glass top. You don't want that, of course, because they will throw stuff at the glass. So that's why it's important to have a mesh top. It also gives them even more climbing opportunities, of course, because they can just climb the mesh. And yeah, lots of glass viewing. They've got 3 indoor yards over here. I feel like they've got a pretty decently sized group. The floors are all concrete, of course, nice and easy to clean. They did do an attempt at giving it some interesting shapes, which is pretty neat. But yeah, over here, this was kind of the family room at the moment. It had the big dad orangutan, and we can see, I think, one of the children climbing at the top there. That was the one in the intro of the video, also playing with that big bag over there, which was just super cool. So I wanted to keep that in here a little bit for you to enjoy, but also, yeah, just see more of the enclosure. There's a bit of a moat type thing at the front here. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, to be honest, but there's also a little staircase leading them out of that. So yeah, really cool, really quite cool stuff over here at Ouwehands. The coolest thing, of course, being those overpasses, which if you combine that with some of the other enclosures we've seen, I feel like you've got pretty much a perfect orangutan enclosure. This over here at the Zoo Dortmund is also really cool, and also we've got another baby, which this is probably the smallest orangutan that I've seen. Really cute. This is also, by the way, not a Bornean orangutan. We have now moved to the Sumatran orangutans. We are moving so fast for this video. I can't believe I've been talking for 14 minutes already. we are racing through these, and it's still, this is a half-hour video. It's crazy. But yeah, what you can see in this enclosure, which is interesting, is these big pools, because this is also a mixed enclosure, not with a small monkey, not with an otter, but with the Malayan tapir. So yeah, tapirs and orangutans are also a possible mix, which is just super, super cool. Now we're in the indoor building over here, which is this, yeah, not round, but like, what is it, hexagonal, octagonal shape. Indoor you have a couple of exhibits for like, I think slow loris or something like that. We also got this beautiful orangutan mural over there. Fantastic. Absolutely love that. Yeah, just really nice climbing structures, of course, also to give them probably some ways to get away from the tapir, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, inside of here, you've got some of this weird colored lights, because of there's some nocturnal-ish exhibits over there. But yeah, over here in the central room, you can see we have multiple levels. So right now we are at the kind of eye level of the orangutans, on the same level as all of their climbing. I don't know why my camera turned all yellow over here, but yeah, we've got these cool little tree houses, and yeah, here we are on level with the orangutans, which are still trying to climb above us. I feel like that's just gives them some comfort, like being above everyone else. But yeah, you can take the stairs down to be on the ground level, which there's these awesome planters, benches, some windowed viewing. This is clearly the tapir habitat as well, but there is climbing still. So even in the indoor yard, the tapir and the orangutan are mixed. But yeah, we can see this pool at the bottom there for the tapir. We can also see some more of those puzzle boxes, fire hose enrichment things, which we also have variants of in Planet Zoo. Yeah, just tons of cool things over here, especially these planters and benches. I just want to point out, because I really, really, really like the look of those. But yeah, as we head back up, got some portraits of the orangutan, and this bridge leading us to the outside, which has some of these peak holes in, which is always fun. Not really something we can easily do in Planet Zoo, but fun to point out. Oh yeah, and a hairdryer, because, or a blow dryer, whatever, for your glasses, because it is a bit of a tropical building right there. Anyway, next up we are in Monde Sauvage, where we have an orangutan island. This one's also a shared enclosure with the lion-tailed macaque, and we can see some simple climbing frames, and we can also see in the center there, their backstage is like connected and hidden in this cool rock structure, which can only be accessed by this drawbridge over here, which I think this is the first time I've ever seen an actual drawbridge in a zoo, and I'm here for it. I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess. When I was here, there were some people kind of walking around the top there. I think they were in the process of applying some more hot wire to make this entire area a bit more escape-proof. But yeah, it's a pretty cool exhibit. It's not the nicest looking one for this video, I feel. Maybe it's the moody weather that's making it seem that way. But yeah, it's a nice little island. We've got some signs telling you about the whole family, and we got a slide. I mean, I do like that a lot. I love me some slides in primate enclosures. But yeah, next up we have Pairi Daiza, and we saw this exhibit as well in the Asian elephant or the Indian elephant video. We've got this amazing building with all of this artwork, and it's all leading up to the elephants, but then the first habitat you see is the orangutan habitat over here, which I thought was pretty funny. And it's like, elephants, elephants. Oh, check out the orangutan first. But yeah, as you're walking towards the elephants, you also see this, which is kind of the corridor where the orangutan can get to their backstage. You can actually see the big male walking right there. And as we continue going, we can see the exhibit from the other side. We can pretty much go all the way around it. On this side you can see more into those elevated shelters for them. Yeah, there's ropes, climbing. There's natural trees inside the habitat as well, which I'm always a fan of, even though they're still growing in quite a bit by the looks of it. Yeah, as we continue moving around, there is actually another habitat on the other side there, but we'll look at that one afterwards. Let's first check out the backstage. So we've got this cool bit of artwork and some stepping stones into this really nicely themed. We're at the bottom of the house that we were in earlier with all the beautiful wooden artwork. And yeah, this is the indoor area of the orangutan, which is all very nicely themed, which is really cool to see. It's not quite as themed as the other orangutan exhibit that we're about to see though. But yeah, we can see more puzzle boxes, all sorts of enrichment things, little feeding balls. We can see some blankets over there that they like to use. And over here there's a little separate area for the male. I guess he was separate at the moment. So after we saw him go towards the backstage through that little corridor tunnel thing, he ended up over there and climbed around a bit. So across from that orangutan exhibit over here at Pairi Daiza, we've got another one, which is the one that you may recognize from the Asian small-clawed otter video. Oh yeah, speaking of slides in enclosures, what the hell is this? That's the cutest Stegosaurus slide I've ever seen. And I love it. I love that we got this high-budget, overly themed enclosure, and then there's just a little plastic dinosaur slide in there that is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I mean, just look at that temple and that waterfall over there. This is a crazy exhibit, and you haven't even seen the inside yet. So yeah, overall, just a nice island over there with some nice climbing frames, large trees. And as we head inside, you get to see the absolute craziness. So I've mentioned a few times during these videos that overall I wasn't the biggest fan of Pairi Daiza. In terms of enclosures. Like, of course, the design and the buildings is absolutely amazing, but I feel like the enclosures sometimes lacked some things. This right here is not that. This is exactly what I hoped everything in Pairi Daiza would be. Just absolutely absurd enclosures that are still nice for the animals, but you just got just crazy things. Just this temple theming over here, actually also being inside of the orangutan enclosure, is absolutely insane, and I am here for it. This is so freaking cool. The orangutans probably don't care, which is fine. Like, it's not bad for them or anything. It's just really, really cool, and it makes no sense, and it doesn't matter. It's just awesome. So yeah, as we leave the backstage, we get some more peaks, and we can actually climb all the way up this temple to see more of the outside as well, and see some things up here. So yeah, lots of cool stuff, but that is pretty much it for Pairi Daiza. So let's move on to the next Sumatran orangutan enclosure over here, which is going to be Planckendael, and we are starting off at the kind of indoor tropical greenhouse, entering through those doors. We're in this beautifully lush tropical area with bridges and all sorts of stuff, and all these big rusty cages, which I remember even in our real life zoo tours video. I wasn't a huge fan of those. Right now, after seeing so many orangutan enclosures, I've almost gotten used to them. I want to say, like, yes, it could be a lot nicer. Like in Dortmund, you had a very open indoor area. I feel like more zoos could do something like that, but I guess this is just, first of all, the safest, but also the mesh does give them more climbing opportunity, just inherently. So there is an upside to it. But yeah, overall, I really like the rest of these indoor enclosures, like the rock work and the very natural ground layer over there. That is all really, really awesome. Once again, this is a mixed enclosure, by the way, with gibbons. So they also have, like, I never know which, if they're separate or not, or whatever. I feel like one of the indoor enclosures is actually for the gibbons, and only outside they can mix, depending on where they get let outside. We also saw some otters. Once again, this is also a mixed enclosure with otters. We just got everything over here. And yeah, you've got these amazing naturalistic looking climbing frames, just with all the branches and twigs, and also ropes, of course, to just give even more climbing opportunities. But they look super cool. I really, really like the vibes over here. The islands are very nice, and something that's worth pointing out actually is that underneath the water, around the islands, there's ropes. You can't really see them because of all the reflections, but there are ropes submerged there, so if an orangutan falls in, they're able to grab onto these ropes that are under the water, and that helps them get back on the island a lot more easily. That's something, a little realism thing you could add. Anyway, next up we have the Zoo of Wuppertal, and over here we actually have neither Sumatran nor Bornean orangutans. This is a non-specific orangutan, at least to according to Zoo Tierliste it is. And this is a pretty nice enclosure. Once again, kind of similar to Dortmund. You've got these steep rock walls and no real mesh or anything. There is some hot wire, of course, going around the edges of those rock walls to make sure that they are escape proof. But yeah, it looks really naturalistic and quite cool. Also over here we can see an orangutan using a little blankie to stay warm, because this was in February. Like, it's actually almost exactly a year ago that I was here, funnily enough, from when this video comes out. So yeah, pretty neat enclosure. I feel like it hides. I feel like this is also a pretty small enclosure, but the layout of it hides that very well. Because yeah, this is another one of those very German primate houses where you've got both the orangutans and the gorillas, and I think it was bonobo in this case. So it's one where I would say just get rid of one of them and give another one more space. But yeah, also a nice little look at the kitchen. I'm pretty sure I also showed this in the bonobo video, but I'll never get tired of views like this. It just looks so much. It just gives you so much inspiration for your backstages, so it's always good to include. Anyway, finally we are on to the last zoo of this video, which is Zoo Erlebniswelt, and this is the German zoo that breaks, like, this is the exception over here, because we've got a massive, absolutely massive enclosure over here, so big that I really had to cut it down. So sorry if all of these cuts are a little bit fast, but I really did not want to make this video any longer than it needed to be. And yeah, there's so much to see here, because let's look at it. We've got the little bridges going over the water. Now we're already heading into the indoor area. So we've got this huge tropical house. I mean, we saw this in the Asian small-clawed otter video. Well, because once again, this is a mixed enclosure with the Asian small-clawed otter. We can see a little pool for them over here, which cascades down as we continue along this enclosure. But yeah, just look at this indoor area. We've got the interesting mesh containing everything within this tropical greenhouse. We've got faux rock work. We've got these metal bamboo shoots which are holding up a lot of the climbing frames. We've got netting, we've got Hanuman langur or grey langur, another species that is in here with the orangutan. Just look at how freaking cool. Now we're at an elevated viewing point looking down into the enclosure. There's so many different viewing points, and once again a thing that you see all the time. This is not that common in the Netherlands, but outside the Netherlands you see this all the time. Like, these are our orangutans. This is their names. But yeah, more even faux rock viewpoints. Just so much stuff here. So much stuff to enjoy, and absolutely fantastic enclosure right here. I really love this one. I love Zoo Erlebniswelt. I really hope to at some point do a real life zoo tour on it, because the entire zoo is absolutely inspiring. But yeah, for now, enjoy this. Just the greenhouse, the rockwork, everything here is so freaking cool. The only thing I don't like about the rockwork is how square the window is. That kind of gives it a very fake feeling. But other than that, it looks fantastic. So yeah, as we continue to go outside, there is even more to see. Just look at the shape of that greenhouse. It also looks super cool. But yeah, now we're at this elevated view on the other side of the outdoor exhibit, and we're gonna go all the way around over these boardwalks, cool little netting fence over there, again with the metal beams made to look like bamboo, giving it all a really cool look right there. Lots of climbing frames, absolutely huge trees, which I don't think have any climb proofing on them. Maybe they're trimmed in such a way that it's hard for the monkeys to get all the way up. But yeah, we've got this awesome little small climbing path, like elevated path, getting us real close on an elevated position. I don't know, I just love everything about this enclosure, except I guess it's a little blank. Like, it's very flat and kind of uninteresting in the middle there, because it's just a huge island. But I don't know, I just really like it. No real notes. But that's gonna be it I did not expect to be talking for half an hour straight without issue, but we're wrapping up the orangutan, and with that we're also wrapping up the letter B. We've had all the B animals done, so next up we're moving on to the C, or if someone has a good suggestion that I feel like doing, then I'll do that instead, but we'll see about that. Anyway, I hope you got some orangutan inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!